I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, but here I am, trying to sort out the mess that's become my life. It all started about 6 months ago, right around the time we moved into the new house. My wife, Amanda, had been acting a little strange, but I chalked it up to the stress of the move and her usual bitchy attitude. Honestly, Amanda's always been a bit of a nightmare, super demanding, quick to lie, and she has this way of twisting things around to make herself look innocent. She's the kind of person who can lie straight to your face and make you doubt your own judgment. We've been together for 5 years, pretty solid until that point. I thought we had a good thing going, but I started noticing little things. Her phone ringing at odd hours, her brushing off my questions about where she'd been, and her always having some excuse ready. At first, I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to admit that maybe she'd started to drift away or that she was hiding something. But the signs kept piling up, and I just felt this gnawing sense that something was off. Then came the housewarming party. It was supposed to be a celebration, you know. Meet the neighbors, have a few drinks, enjoy the new place. I invited my best man, Jake, and a few friends, and Amanda invited some of her coworkers. The party was pretty lively, and I was mostly focused on having a good time. But I couldn't shake this weird feeling that something was about to go wrong. Amanda was being especially bitchy that night, snapping at me when I tried to ask her about her conversations with her coworkers, giving me that sly smirk when she thought I wasn't paying attention. I remember catching her eye across the room, and she gave me this little smirk that made my stomach tighten. Later that night, everything seemed normal. We went to bed, and I thought maybe I was just overthinking things. Then the next morning, I woke up early, as I often do, to grab some coffee. That's when I noticed the bed was a little out of order. Her side was unmade, and there was this faint scent of another man's cologne lingering in the sheets. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I decided to do a little digging. I checked her phone, which I normally wouldn't do, but I was just desperate for answers. And that's when I saw it, messages from Jake, her best man, full of flirty comments and some pictures that made my blood run cold. She insisted she was just talking to him about the housewarming, that they were just friends, that nothing was going on. But I knew better. I could feel it in my gut. There was no way she was just talking about the weather or some stupid work project. The messages weren't innocent. They were about sex, about how much she enjoyed flirting with him, how she loved the attention. I was stunned, honestly. I didn't want to believe it at first, but the evidence was right there. And her reaction, she just lied, said I was paranoid, that Jake was like a brother to her, that she'd never do anything to hurt me. But I knew she was lying, and I could see the guilt in her eyes. That's where I am now, just trying to process how everything fell apart so quickly. How the woman I loved, the woman I trusted, was out. They're cheating on me with my best man. It feels like my entire world has been turned upside down. I don't know what's worse, the betrayal or the fact that everyone probably knew but never said a word. I can't help but feel like I was blind, like I missed all the signs. And the worst part, I don't even know what I want to do yet. I just know I can't keep pretending everything's okay. After I found out the truth, the messages, the scent on the sheets, the way Amanda tried to spin it, I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was racing, trying to process everything at once. I couldn't believe she'd do this to me, especially with Jake, my closest friend. It was a punch to the gut that I still feel today. When I confronted her, I expected maybe tears, some sort of apology, or at least some remorse. But Amanda, she got defensive, started throwing out all these shitty excuses, like she was trying to gaslight me into thinking I was the crazy one. She said I was imagining things, that Jake and her were just talking about the house and the party, that I was paranoid. She claimed I was overreacting because I was insecure. Can you believe that? The woman I trusted, the woman I married, trying to convince me I was losing my mind over a few harmless texts. She even had the nerve to say Jake was like a brother to her, that they'd never do anything stupid. But I saw her lie, and I saw the texts that proved otherwise. I knew she was lying, and that made everything worse because it made me doubt myself. The emotional toll hit me like a freight train. I'd always considered myself a pretty steady guy, not someone prone to losing it. But that day I felt rage, heartbreak, confusion all at once. The shock was overwhelming. I kept replaying the moments, trying to hold on to the good memories, and it just made me feel sick. How could she do this? How could she betray me, not just once but behind my back with someone I trusted? And Jake, my best man, my friend, how could he do this? I thought he was better than that. I told her I needed some space, that I couldn't be around her right now. She looked annoyed. Like I was the one overreacting, like I was the problem. That made me even angrier. Her typical bitchy attitude just boiled over, and she snapped back with some smart-ass comment about how she wasn't the only one who was playing around. That stung worse than the betrayal itself. I realized then that she was never going to be honest, never going to own up to what she did. So I left the house for a couple of days, trying to clear my head. I went to stay with some friends, but honestly I felt like I was walking around in a fog. Nothing made sense anymore. During those days I couldn't help but think about all the signs I'd missed, all the times I should have seen it coming. The late nights, the secret phone calls, her secretive attitude, every little thing now felt like a puzzle piece falling into place. But at the same time, I was hurting so badly. It's one thing to be betrayed, and another to realize everyone knew but never said a word. That hurt even more. It made me question whether I even knew her at all, whether I could trust anyone anymore. It was like losing my wife, my best friend, and part of myself all at once. I kept telling myself I needed to do something, to decide what I wanted next. I thought about confronting Jake, about talking to some of her coworkers who I suspected might have known or seen something but chose to stay silent. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, that smirk, those texts, the sheets that reeked of Jake's cologne. I'd never felt so betrayed, so humiliated. But I also knew that this wasn't just about catching her cheating. It felt like a betrayal of everything I believed in: trust, loyalty, honesty. And I was tired of feeling like a fool. Right now, I'm just trying to keep it together, trying to figure out what's real and what's not. How do you move on when someone you loved and trusted so deeply turns out to be someone else entirely? How do I pick up the pieces of a marriage that's been shattered? Honestly, I don't have the answers yet. All I know is I can't keep pretending everything's fine, because I see now that everything was a lie. I spent the next few days in a haze, trying to piece together what I was going to do. Every time I thought about her, Amanda's face would flash in my mind. That bitchy smirk still burned into my brain. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat properly. My thoughts kept circling around how I was so blind, how everyone around me must have known. Jake, her coworkers, maybe even some friends of ours. It all felt like a huge conspiracy against me, like I was the only one who didn't see what was happening right under my nose. One night, I finally decided I couldn't just sit around and stew in my own anger. I needed to get some answers, really get to the bottom of it all, even if I hated what I was about to find out. So I decided to confront her again, but this time, I wanted the truth, no lies, no bullshit. The moment I walked into the house, I could feel the tension thickening the air. Amanda was sitting on the couch, scrolling her phone, looking way too calm considering everything I'd told her. I didn't waste time. I sat down across from her, looked her right in the eyes, and said, "Amanda, I need to know, was it just Jake? Or were there other guys? How long has this been going on?" Her eyes widened for a second, then she rolled her eyes, scoffing at me like I was a complete idiot. "Oh, come on, really? You're that insecure? It was just Jake. We're just friends, you know how I am. I don't cheat, I don't lie, but I guess that means nothing to you now, huh?" Her words made my blood boil. I could see the lie in her eyes, the way she was trying to deflect. I told her I didn't believe her, that I had proof, her texts, the sheets. That's when she snapped. She started yelling, calling me paranoid, accusing me of spying on her, saying I was crazy for thinking she'd cheat on me. She said I was just jealous because I couldn't keep up with her, that I was boring and insecure. I'd never seen her like that, so bitchy, so aggressive. She was trying to turn it around on me, make me doubt myself even more. That night, I felt a mixture of rage and despair. I couldn't believe she was really doing this. I'd trusted her with everything, and now I was standing there, realizing that she'd been lying to my face for months. And what hurt even more was knowing that everyone else probably knew, her coworkers, her friends, maybe even Jake's wife. No one said a word. That silence was deafening. It made me feel like I was some fool who couldn't see what was happening right under my nose. How could I have missed all the signs? How could I not see that the woman I loved had been cheating on me with my best man? As I sat there staring at her, I thought about the future. Could I forgive her? Could I ever trust her again? The answer was clear in my mind, no. I felt like I was waking up from a long nightmare. The betrayal cut so deep, I didn't think I'd ever get over it. But I also knew I couldn't stay in this house, living with a woman who lied to my face every day. I told her I was done talking, that I needed some space, and I left her sitting there, angry and defiant. That night I drove around for a while, trying to clear my head. I kept thinking about how everything had fallen apart so fast. One minute I was happily married, the next I was questioning everything I'd believed in. I felt so hurt and betrayed I didn't even know who I was anymore. All I wanted was to wake up from this nightmare, but deep down, I knew it was real. I had to decide what to do next, whether to fight for a marriage that felt beyond repair or just cut my losses and walk away. I wasn't sure which would be worse. All I knew was I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay when it was. The next few days were a blur of emotion and indecision. I stayed with some friends, trying to keep my mind busy, but the thoughts kept creeping back in. Her lying, the betrayal, the fact that everyone else apparently knew and chose to stay silent. It was like waking up from a nightmare, only to find out the nightmare was real and I couldn't wake up. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I'd been a fool to trust her, to believe that she was who she said she was. One thing kept nagging me, the feeling that everyone knew but never said a word. It made me angry, really angry. How could her coworkers, her friends, just stand by and watch her cheat on me? Did they think I didn't deserve to know? Did they think I was too stupid to see what was going on? I kept replaying all the times I'd seen Amanda acting strange, the little lies she told, her dismissive attitude whenever I questioned her. Now it all made sense. She was hiding something and everyone else was complicit in this silent conspiracy. I decided I had to do something, even if it was just to get some closure. So I reached out to Jake. I knew I shouldn't, but I wanted to hear it from him straight. I sent him a message asking to meet up. Surprisingly, he responded pretty quickly, and we agreed to sit down at a quiet bar. That night, I had a long, hard conversation with him. I asked point-blank if he'd been sleeping with Amanda. He hesitated, looked uncomfortable, then finally admitted it. Yeah, they'd hooked up during the housewarming weekend. After I'd gone to bed, he said. His words cut deep, but I appreciated his honesty. I needed to know the truth, no matter how much it hurt. Jake told me they'd been sneaking around for a few months, that Amanda had been flirting with him for a while even before the housewarming, that she'd been the one to initiate things. I felt a mix of anger and disgust, at her, at him, at the whole situation. I asked him why he didn't tell me earlier, and he shrugged, saying he was trying to keep the peace, didn't want to cause trouble. But deep down, I knew that silence was part of the problem. Everyone knew and nobody said a word. That realization made the betrayal even worse. After that, I decided I couldn't stay silent anymore. I started reaching out to some of her coworkers, people I'd never really talked to much before. I just wanted to know if they'd known about her cheating, if they'd seen anything. Turns out, yeah, they knew. Some had even noticed her sneaking around, but no one wanted to be the one to blow the whistle. They all said she's always been bitchy and manipulative, that she's good at hiding her true nature. It made me realize I'd been blind to who she really was all along. That was a turning point. I couldn't undo what had happened, but I felt like I finally had some clarity. The puzzle pieces fit together now. She was never the woman I thought I married. She was someone else entirely, selfish, manipulative, and willing to cheat with my best friend just to get her kicks. The thought of her lying in bed with Jake, then pretending to be innocent, made my stomach churn. How could she lie so effortlessly? How could everyone stay quiet while she did this? It made me question everything I believed about friendship, loyalty, and honesty. Now I was at a crossroads. I realized I could try to salvage the marriage, but honestly I didn't see how that was possible after everything. Or I could cut my losses, get out, and start over. I hated feeling so broken, so betrayed, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending. I was hurt, angry, and I felt like I'd been played for a fool. But at least I knew the truth now. That's what mattered. That's what I kept telling myself: truth, honesty, and moving forward, whether that was alone or with someone new. I wasn't sure yet. All I knew was I had to get out of this emotional prison I'd been trapped in for too long. The decision didn't come easily. For days, I oscillated between wanting to fight for the marriage and just walking away from everything. Part of me wanted to believe there was a way to fix this. If Amanda truly cared, maybe she'd realize how much she screwed up and try to make amends. But deep down, I knew the damage was too extensive. Trust was shattered, and I didn't see any way to rebuild it after everything I'd found out. The moment I decided I was done with her, I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't keep living in this limbo, feeling like I was constantly walking on eggshells, wondering when the next betrayal or lie would come out. So, I told her I was leaving. I told her I couldn't stay married to someone who lied to my face, who cheated with my best man, and who showed no remorse. She reacted just like I expected: angry, dismissive, and defensive. She called me crazy, said I was overreacting, and accused me of trying to control her life. That was her go-to move: deny, deflect, and blame me for everything. Honestly, it was like talking to a wall. She didn't even try to deny the affair anymore because she knew I had the evidence. Instead, she just threw tantrums, calling me insecure and accusing me of being jealous. She tried to make me feel guilty for even bringing it up, but I didn't fall for it. I'd made up my mind. I packed my things, told her I was going to stay with my sister for a while, and left that night. The house felt so cold and empty as I was walking out, like I was leaving a part of myself behind. Being away from her, I finally had some space to breathe. But the emotional fallout hit me hard. I felt this strange mix of relief and heartbreak. Relief because I was finally free from her lies and manipulations. Heartbreak because I still loved her, or at least I thought I did. I kept asking myself how I'd let it get this far, how I could have missed all the red flags. It made me realize I'd been so caught up in trying to make everything perfect, trying to be the good husband, that I never saw what she really was. She'd been acting bitchy, manipulative, and unfaithful, and I was blind to it all. What shook me most was the realization that everyone else probably knew and never said a word. That I was the only one left in the dark, the only one betrayed by the woman I thought I knew. The silence from her coworkers, her friends, Jake, everyone just letting it happen, pretending it was none of their business. It made me angry, but it also made me more determined to get out and start fresh. I deserved better. I deserved honesty. I didn't want to keep living in this lie anymore. Now I'm trying to piece my life back together. It's going to take time, I know that. But I keep thinking about how this whole thing has changed me. I used to trust easily, believe in loyalty. Now I see the world a little differently. I've learned that sometimes people you think are close to you will betray you in the worst ways, and you have to protect yourself. If there's one thing I want to tell anyone reading this, it's this: don't ignore the signs. Don't be afraid to confront the truth, no matter how painful it is. Because in the end, honesty is the only thing that can set you free, and you're worth more than living in a lie. Now that I've come through this storm, I realize how much I've changed. It's like I've been forced to see the world through a different lens, one that's a little more cynical, a lot more guarded. I used to believe in happily ever after, in loyalty and honesty. That's been shattered now, replaced by a hard-earned understanding that people aren't always what they seem. Amanda was a perfect example of that. She put on a good show, but underneath, she was someone entirely different. Living with this betrayal has left scars, no doubt. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night replaying what happened, wondering if I could have done something differently. But I've come to accept that some things are beyond my control. I can't undo what's been done, and I can't make her love me again. What I can do is learn from it. I've learned that trusting blindly only leaves you vulnerable. That silence and secrecy breed betrayal. And that sometimes the truth, no matter how devastating, is the only way to move forward. I'm slowly rebuilding my life. I've started seeing a therapist, working through the hurt and anger. I've also started dating again, cautiously. It's scary, trusting someone after all this, but I realize I can't let one terrible experience define me. I deserve to be happy to find someone who's honest and loyal, who truly respects me. But I won't make that mistake again. I'll keep my guard up and I'll trust slowly. Looking back, I wish I could tell myself to trust my instincts sooner, to listen to the little red flags I ignored. I wish I'd seen the signs of her lying, her manipulation, and Jake's involvement. I wish I hadn't been so blind, so eager to see the best in her. But at the same time, I know I can't dwell on what I missed or what I could have done differently. What's important now is that I'm learning to protect myself, to value honesty, and to remember that I'm worth more than the lies she told. This whole experience has been a brutal lesson in trust and betrayal. It's taught me that the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than living in denial, and that sometimes the only way to truly be free is to face the darkness head-on. I'm still hurting, sure, but I'm also stronger now. I'm ready to move forward, to rebuild a life based on honesty, respect, and real love. No more lies, no more betrayal, just me finally starting to find my way out of this mess.